Swooping low over the northwestern state of Montana, America's military is on its daily mission of securing its nuclear weapons.
Can I ask what you're looking for?
You're looking for any suspicious behavior around the launch facilities, any objects on the top side of the launch facility, gates, compromised, things like that.
Looking down, it's hard to believe that buried deep in the ground are 150 Minuteman III missiles, all armed with nuclear warheads.
Mostly is farmland and rangeland out here.
Which is kind of not what you expect.
No, not at all.
It is an incongruous sight. The world's most devastating weapons silently marking time amongst the farmhouses and cattle.
Just let me know when we're about 15 mic out from Lima, and I'll give them a call.
But they're part of the massive deterrent that America and its allies are heavily relying upon to keep North Korea in its place. Just how dangerous is this time?
I think this is a very dangerous time. Perhaps the most dangerous threat that we faced since the Cuban Missile Crisis. Having been Secretary of Defense, there's no question in my mind that we're the most powerful military force in the face of the earth. And we have the capability to basically wipe out the North Korean regime, no question.
America has been preparing for a nuclear attack for the past 60 years, ever since the Cold War with Russia. It now has nuclear weapons capable of being deployed from the air, the sea, and ground. Montana's Malmstrom Air Force Base is responsible for 150 ground missiles, and it's where thousands of men and women go to work every day preparing for a nuclear war.
All right, let's go to work. Flight test hood, post.
Center out to ensure no one has Bluetooth, electronic mating devices, cell phones, smartwatches, anything along those lines. Is that correct? There are none in this office.
This is an intensely secure world that few ever get to see, and I'm about to be taken to its epicenter. Hidden deep below this building is the control room where nuclear missiles are launched. An elevator takes me 20 meters underground to a massive blast-proof door. Inside, two surprisingly young people, missileers as they're called, assigned to carry out the president's orders. And if they should come today, it's up to 25-year-old Ali and her colleague 24-year-old Brent to launch the world's most devastating weapons. Does it play on your mind?
I think it definitely plays on the minds of missileers, but sometimes that prospect or possibility does seem far away. Hopefully it stays far away, right?
The missileers are secured inside this pod, a tiny control room made of concrete and steel that hangs on huge shock absorbers designed to survive a nuclear blast. And it's always manned. The missileers rotated on 24-hour shifts.
We don't see light until we go back topside because there's no windows down here. But once you get used to it, it's very simple and you grow to like it down here.
I'm assuming you have to like each other.
Just a little bit.
It is definitely better if we like each other. Yes, yes, ma'am.
America has 450 intercontinental ballistic missiles buried across the country. The only hint of their existence, a fence and a white pole. All are connected to a series of launch capsules by hardened and pressurized underground cables. Very little about this complex system has changed since the 60s. Its aging technology is considered far safer, and it still works.
Everyone say, oh, don't slip on the red button or something like that.
There's no red button.
That is a common misconception.
Yes.
No red phone either, no red button.
When the president orders a strike, a message arrives on the Missileers monitors. They must authenticate the command, and then using separate combinations kept secret from each other, they will unlock this strongbox for further instructions. Missiles are kept in underground concrete silos.
That is something. You know, it's quite intimidating standing beside a nuclear missile.
This missile has been decommissioned, but up close, it is a sobering reminder of their capabilities. America's current Minuteman III missile is 20 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima more than 70 years ago. It stands taller than a 6-story building, and once fired, it rockets into space before releasing its nuclear warhead. That warhead locks onto its pre-programmed target, can be reached anywhere on the globe within 30 to 40 minutes.
You described these nuclear missiles as awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
They
love
are
them.
like no other. Did you say I love them?
They're absolutely.
Colonel Ronald Allen is the commander of the 341st Missile Wing at Malmstrom Air Force Base.
No enemy can escape our missiles.
None.
None.
You have them sized up.
We can, yes, ma'am. We have the capability.
North Korea, we are told that their missiles could now reach us. I presume yours can reach them.
We have the capability to hold any enemy anywhere on the planet accountable.
So Mr. Kim Jong-un should take note.
We have the capability to hold any enemy on the planet, or potential enemy on the planet, accountable. Yes, ma'am.
In the next 10 years, America will spend more than $340 billion on nuclear weapons, and many millions more securing, maintaining, and upgrading them. But ultimately, it's money to ensure nothing happens.
There's an extraordinary amount of energy that goes into something that you just don't ever want to have to use.
Well, the weapon system in itself is in use every day. Every single time that a potential enemy decides not to act, then our weapon has produced the effect that it's in the ground to do.
The deterrent.
Yes, ma'am. The Minuteman III mission is a 24-hour, 365-day-a-year mission. It is always on alert.
So when North Korea fires missiles, do you go on high alert?
No, ma'am.
Nothing changes?
Nothing changes.
Until you get
Until
the
our
president call?
That's correct.
Taking care of nuclear weapons is a precarious assignment. Staff constantly train at transporting and removing warheads. Master Sergeant Jennifer Hubner understands she's in a deadly business.
We're probably one of the few careers in the world that works so diligently and so hard to produce such a great impact to hope that it never gets employed. You know, none of us come to work hoping today's the day. That is certainly not the case. What we're hoping is that our enemies will think twice before they decide to use any type of weapon of mass destruction against us or our allies.
That would include Australia?
Absolutely, ma'am. We got your back.
But Leon Panetta thinks it may well be time for Australia to seriously consider building its own missile defence system.
Why do you say that?
Because you don't know. You have to protect your country. And if there's a crazy leader in North Korea who has an ICBM capability and a miniaturized nuclear weapon capability, you don't know where the hell he's going to fire the next missile. And Australia owes it to their people to be fully prepared to defend their country. We shouldn't underestimate the fact that even though this is a young and unpredictable and cruel leader, that he also can be diabolical. He could also have to face a moment in time when he decides that even though it may be the end of his regime, that history will remember him for his pushing the button. That's the thing that scares me the most.
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen.
This would be the fire and the fury that perhaps Donald Trump will be talking about.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
In North Dakota, Minot Air Force Base not only has ground missiles, but also B-52 bombers that can carry nuclear-tipped cruise missiles. And even though they're at least 6 decades old, these bombers are very much a part of the nuclear mission.
All of our focus is sharpened now because North Korea's leader is firing off these missiles. Your focus is sharpened?
Well, our focus is always sharpened, but we focus on everyone. We can't lose sight of the global picture just for one particular area, but we definitely pay attention. You can't help but pay attention, and it's safe to say that we are definitely listening, and we're ready.
Colonel David Bailu is Vice Commander of the 5th Bomb Wing at Minot and understands what it means to deploy nuclear weapons.
Are you comfortable about that?
Well, I don't think anybody would necessarily be comfortable about employing a nuclear weapon. I'm not sure that's the term I would use. But what I am comfortable with is our ability to execute that mission if called upon, and to do it with 100% confidence that we're going to do it safely, securely, and reliably.
Once in the air, this huge 8-engine bomber dominates the sky. It can carry 30,000 kilograms of weapons, reach an altitude of up to 50,000 feet, and travel at more than 1,000 kilometers an hour. It's all part of America's military might. But for those who man and mind these weapons, it's just another day at the office.
Do you go home at night and think, you know, thank God another day has gone and we haven't had to do anything?
No, I would say I do not worry about it. No, I do not go to sleep at night worrying about any adversary.
Even though you're here sitting on some of the most devastating weapons known to man.
Correct.
The peace and tranquility in this remote part of America is breathtaking. It's easy to forget what lies beneath. Not everyone is happy about the big nuclear stick America uses to rule the world.
4, 3.
But right now, most hope its deterrent strategy doesn't fail.
Once we engage in a nuclear war, You're not quite sure how it comes to an end because there's a huge amount of devastation. Hundreds of thousands of lives are lost, maybe millions. And then how does that play out in terms of the rest of the world? How does that play out with countries like Australia in the Pacific region?
How do you feel about nuclear weapons, though? We have worked so hard to try and
Well,
eliminate them, bring them, take them down.
No, this is horrible. This is a horrible moment. We should not be living in a world where we threaten and counter-threaten each other with nuclear war. That we have a greater responsibility to the people in this world to try to find a world that is non-nuclear and that can live at peace. Whether that happens or not, in many ways, these next few months are going to tell us a lot about what direction we take.